recording. So let's start that over. Welcome to the 13th episode of the photo show. I actually wanted to record it, and usually I record it with the countdown, but I had a genius idea where, I might as well just start recording, after the countdown, and I totally forgot to hit the button. So it still is one way or the other, the 13th episode, and today's Friday, May 27th. I always have to look at my watch because I can never remember the date. Happy Friday, everyone. Awesome. We have nice weather here in Portland. So today's show basically is more of an update show. A few updates and a new kind of portrait project that I found. Actually, it was a news broadcast. I think it was ABC, and they did it back in 2013. But you know how things go with social media. Someone shared it, and it appeared on my Facebook stream, and I hadn't watched it in 2013 or 14 or 15. Not until 2016 did I see this video, and I watched it and I was like, that's really cool. I can see how this project can be awkward, but for me it was kind of heartwarming. So we'll take a look at that and talk about it some more. Also, something I want to just show you, we're going to try this out. I figured out a way, actually I didn't figure it out. Telestream, the company that makes Wirecast, does these weekly live broadcasts that kind of give you tips and tricks about using Wirecast. And so yesterday's broadcast by Andrew Haley, who is their evangelist, kind of gave this idea of how you can get the comments kind of live. It's kind of hacky, but it should work. So I think we can use that. So let's try that out. I'll be digging into that throughout the episode if there are comments that I want to show off. Ideally, one day, what I'm hoping Telestream does is that they build in some sort of, I think Facebook has an API for their comments, so I can just pull in comments and bring them over on a scroll like you see in the lower third here. So what I want to do first is talk about an update from episode 11. So 2 episodes ago, one of the things I talked about was security. And specifically two-factor authentication. What I didn't realize at the time, I talked about an app called Authy that I used to manage my two-factor authentications, while also using an app called 1Password to manage all of my passwords. So I think later that day or the next day, I did a podcast with my friend Scott Wyden-Kivowitz, an Imagely podcast. And he brought it up, I think after the fact. He was like, Brian, 1Password supports two-factor authentication. And that blew my mind. I also got, I think on the YouTube version of this episode, someone said that 1Password supports two-factor authentication. Sure enough, it does. So I love 1Password. I absolutely love it. It is, in my opinion, especially if you're a Mac user and an iOS user, the app is just brilliant. But there is an Android app as well, and I think there's a Windows app. So I'm not sure. So now all I need to do is just go into one app, and I get my password, and it also supports, the two-factor authentication, which is very cool for anyone who takes their security of their account seriously. And like I showed in episode 11, it's really important that you should be taking your accounts, the security of them, seriously. I'm not trying to sensationalize it or put the fear of God in anyone, but everything you do these days is pretty much digital and probably on the cloud, so why not protect it using another level of authentication? All right, so let's go turn to my next project. Or the project I announced also in episode 11, which I've since titled Be Heroic. So I'm gonna use the hashtag Be Heroic. And what it is let's go to the wide cam here and turn that off. Cool. So I bought 2 of these figures that are kind of expensive, but they're made by Hot Toys, and this is Optimus Prime. So Generation 1, original, good old faithful Optimus Prime. He doesn't transform, and I don't want him to transform. I want him to be fully articulate and just moving. And the reason why I bought this figure was because I want to explore just different types of photography. And I went into this, into detail in episode 11. And listen, waterfall photography, you know, I've got stuff, I've got prints hanging up, and it's like my favorite, obviously my favorite type of photography, especially where I live. That's why I live here. But I also want to expand and just try different things. So I invested money in this. Again, this is a Hot Toys Optimus Prime. And I mean, he can articulate, his fingers can articulate, his head can articulate. And so what I did was I started taking photos of him. I positioned him, and what I actually, you know what? Just to show you how that was done, let's switch back to the wide-angle shot right there and right there. Okay, so I use this. This is my wife's huge thing. Oh, there we go. All right. Okay. So it's like this big kind of product, I don't know, this service, I don't even know what to call it, but it's kind of acrylic, and it's perfect for kind of if you want to put a light behind it. It is easy when you light it to mask whatever's on it, to mask the background off. So that's what I used. I basically positioned him on the, oops, there's my keyboard. I positioned him on the that surface, and I just took a shot. And I used an A7R Mark II by Sony with a 70-400, and actually the camera was like right here, and the table was off camera left. I took just 2 shots, and so you can see here he's not lit. I brought the photo into Lightroom to adjust it a little bit, and then what I did was I brought it into On1. Layers 10, and I used the tools there to mask out everything. I also used On1 effects to kind of stylize it. So here, this is the kind of end result, and this is attempt number 1. And I was really worried. I was excited and worried at the same time to share it, because I'm not known for this. One, just for my own knowledge of post-processing, I mostly edit in a stylistic way, meaning I don't do too much in terms of masking or compositing or blending. I take the photo as it is and I touch it up. So here, to remove a background, which you can see that the background I used was one of the stock backgrounds that comes with On1 Photo 10. I just placed it in there and added a very slight blur, just so you know, he could stand off. And I think I added too much of a blur because it looks a bit obviously artificial. And then I used On1 effect to just add a bunch of different stylization, like a bleach bypass, and I think like a brown tint, like a color layer blend. The masking itself was somewhat easy, but also it was a bit challenging at parts because you have to deal with reflections. You know, this is a kind of a, he has obviously reflective surfaces. You could see kind of like as I point him towards the light, there are, you know, you have to challenge, that's challenging. So there was a lot there that I learned. But here's where I'm really excited. So I I did this earlier this morning. I queued up a movie that I think any kid from who was born in like the 70s or even the 80s who grew up on Transformers is familiar with. So I queued up the Blu-ray version of Transformers the movie, not the god-awful one from Michael Bay, his just abomination. I mean, that really is an abortion of a movie, that whole series. And it's a real big bummer, because if you want to ruin a franchise, let Michael Bay produce it or direct it. So I took, what I basically did was, because I have Optimus Prime, I focused on scenes where he, you know, where he's in it. And I took these screen grabs using Sketch. And what I'm going to do, I'm not quite sure yet what I want to do. But part of me is like, do I want to try, I can easily pose him. The figure can be posed in this, you know, in this way. And I'm wondering if I should use like a contour mapping that Nicole was telling me about and mask him in. Or I might just recreate the scene, finding some other background. But then I also kind of want to do some close-up shots. So the figure comes with his little matrix of leadership, and that's kind of a cool shot, especially if it's lit well. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. And then, of course, the scene where when I watched this movie as a kid in the theater, I busted out crying when Optimus Prime died. But I think this can be such a cool scene where he's on the kind of hospital bed. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of cool ways for me to get these photos for this Be Heroic series. And actually, one of the things that I want to show you is this book. So I was chatting, again, Matthew Callahan, who has the Galactic Warfighter series, the kind of, the thing that sparked this whole thing for me, his Star Wars figures simulating battle scenes. He told me about this book, and it's called Small Scenes from a Big Galaxy. I've seen these photos, and the author and photographer, his name is Vesa Letimaki, and I hope I'm not butchering it. But you can find this, again, Small Scenes from a Big Galaxy. I bought it on Amazon. It was like 17 bucks. I got it in 2 days because it's Prime shipping. And it's awesome. I mean, he's using Legos, and pretty much everything he does in one way or another is in camera. Whereas with mine, it was heavily composited and stylized. You know, he's doing everything au naturel. And what I want to show you, I'm going to switch to the wide cam for a second. Actually, that's not the wide cam. This is the wide cam. Just to give you a quick shot of what is real, what I'm, you know, why this book is worth the money for me is because, where'd it go? You'd think I would have bookmarked it. Here we go. Okay. So like pages like this one. Let me try to, there. So you see it's behind the scenes, and you can see the sketches that he made. And I never actually thought about that. So what I'm going to do is, let me go back here, is use, I mean, why not? I have an iPad Pro. I have the Apple Pencil, and I use Evernote. So why not sketch things out? Whether it's based off of one of those screenshots I showed you, which I can load in and draw on top of, I'm going to try to start sketching things out because I really want to take this seriously. I want to put out some cool stuff. It's just more of a different creative outlet. So, I don't know. I'm excited for it, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's see here. Actually, I'm going to bring up the comments. Might as well use this. So what do we have here? We have Chris. Yeah, Hot Toys makes such fantastic figures. Yeah, and you're going to pay for them. Hot Toys figures are not cheap. And so that's the figure. It's Hot Toys, but in the US, it's the distributor in the US is, I think, called Sideshow. So I think it's sideshowtoys.com. And I actually bought these locally because if I can support a local company, I will. And so I went to a store called Things from Another World, which is just like a 5-minute drive from where I live here in Portland. Do you sit that on the beach? I don't know what you mean. Oh, and Nicole says that's a light table. So Chris also says, I do sketches all the time for my toy photos. This is especially true for when I travel. What do you mean, Chris, do me a favor, let me know what you mean by that for when you travel, because I'm not sure if I'm going to, I can see myself taking this figure, and I also have an Iron Man figure down to the Southeast Industrial area, which is awesome. I love photographing there because there's a lot of cool concrete, distressed concrete and kind of graffiti stuff. So I could see that as a cool thing, but I don't know if I want to travel with it too much. But yeah, so if there are any other questions for now, let me know. Otherwise, what I'm going to do is segue over to this video. So again, I mentioned this at the head of the video. I guess in 2013, I think it was ABC News, they did this feature on a photographer, a New York-based photographer. And what I'd like to do is queue up this video just to give you a little bit of insight of what he does. I find it personally just cool. I'm sure it's not unique. I'm sure other people have done it, but this is the first time this came to my purview. So let's take a look at this, and afterwards we can chat about it. So that was kind of cool. I think it was cool. I don't know. I never would have, picture taking. Those who know me, like if I know you, I'm kind of loud and uncouth at times, and just kind of, I would love to think that I'm personable. But if I don't know you and if I'm in a strange place, especially if I'm out walking by myself in the city, there's not a chance that I'm going to approach someone else. I'm way too shy and nervous and anxious and stuff like that. So I can't see myself walking up to people and just asking, especially one person's hard enough, but asking like 2 or 3 people who are completely different to do that, I would be, and that's my thing. That's something I would need to work with. And I know I acknowledge that that is a limitation of mine. But when I do street photography, especially like when I'm traveling, I like to be at a distance. I don't want the people to know that I'm there because I like capturing that kind of life in motion. But with this, that's pretty cool. Before we go on with that, though, I see my buddy Dave Foster giving me grief. It says, why use fake backgrounds? You live in freaking Oregon. It's true. I do live in Oregon, and so do you. And you're right. You're absolutely right. Why use fake backgrounds? Because I just got the figures over the weekend, and I hadn't had a chance really to go out. I'm just right now just kind of taking, I guess, baby steps. I want to get them out there because you're right. We live in this like amazing Pacific Northwest, rainforest, very lush, very verdant. And I will get there. And I'll also go downtown to the Southeast Industrial area. But for now, I just wanted to kind of get it up there and see what it looks like. Just get it on my screen, get it in Photoshop. So yeah, we'll progress there for sure, David. And you know what? You should bring your Captain America figures that you have on set, and I'll bring Iron Man, and we'll do some Civil War scenes because I think that'd be pretty cool. And Dave, are your figures Hot Toys? Because they look pretty like substantial. They look pretty tall, and I'm not sure. Cool. David accepts the challenge, as you can see, and this is cool. I kind of like this kind of hacky comments thing because now you get to see it too. Often I'd read something and paraphrase it, or my crazy ADD would make me change gears, and you wouldn't know what I was talking about. So now you can do that. So Chris, going back, let's kind of segue back to the video, that newscast, which I believe was CBS, that globe with the eye in it. Oh, and David's saying that his are miniatures. Even the tall ones, those are miniature? That's crazy. I could have sworn they look like at least 12 inches tall. That's what she said. And then Chris is saying, speaking of the video, his work captures human emotion. I think that ABC special is great. Cool. Yeah. Hey, you know what's sad? So, not sad. It should be expected. So I watched the videos. The person did a link scrape. So the share on Facebook brought me to, I guess it was CBS's page. And then, of course, their comments, the comment section. It was just filled with a bunch of just awful trolls who were cutting this guy down. So I quickly closed out, but I thought the video was fantastic. And I think I want to say I've seen other people do it, but yeah, I don't know. So for now, oh wait, so what do we got here? Brian, my buddy Brian C. From Think Tank and Mind Shift, welcome. And he's saying you should try a tilt shift lens. Absolutely true. Totally. So a tilt shift lens allows you to kind of skew the plane of focus. Normally, your camera sensor is here, and the rear and front elements of the lens are also they're parallel to each other. With the tilt shift lens, which the closest thing I currently have now is a lens baby. I sold my Canon lenses, which I had a tilt shift. Instead of the plane of focus being parallel, you can actually tilt the front of the lens. And what that does, in a more, I would say, a more traditional or academic way, you would use a tilt shift lens to extend your depth of field. So you can get a crazy deep depth of field. But what people typically do is they use it more of a stylistic way. If you looked at, I think it was Allstate, the insurance company, and especially things like by Vincent Laforet, who's just a phenomenal videographer, director, photographer. What they do is they open up the aperture wide, so usually around f4, and then you want to be above your subject typically, and you tilt your lens. That gives you this kind of miniature toy figure effect, and it's awesome when it's done right, when it's done tastefully, like HDR, like, you know, name some, you know, Visco. When you overuse it or you don't have a methodology to it of why you're using it, it just falls flat. But, Bri, I totally get it. I think that's a fair point. I might try the Lens Baby. The poor Lens Baby, I have one for the Sony E-mount, has been sitting at the very end like the redheaded stepchild. And Lens Baby was nice. They gave me the lens, so I really should try that out. I think that's a fair point. Beautiful wife, my absolutely wonderful wife, Nicole. I know someone with a TS. That's true. You have a Canon one, right? I think, right? I don't remember if it was. I think you have the 24 millimeter, the Mark II. So I think I have still my Metabones adapter. So maybe I'll try it out. It's good to be married with another photographer. Oh, and Bry's linking me to a 24 millimeter. Is that? I'll check it later. I'm hoping it's Samyang. I assume it has a Sony E-mount lens, in which case I'll do it. Josh signing off to fire up the grill. So Josh is one of my oldest buddies that I know of in my life. Awesome guy. Met him first day of college in ECS 101 with Dr. Pease when we were majoring in computer engineering. Well, just a little background, give you a little context of the people in the audience. And then, so Dave's saying, oh, those are big. I meant the ones I shoot. No, yeah. Are not very posable. So, but still, Dave, they look, I don't know. I want to see them. Next time I come over, I want to check them out. I know the ones you sent me. I saw the album. So Dave has these miniature Captain America figures, and he posed them in environmental scenes when he was in Florida. Which were very cool. But I want to do the larger ones because I need to deal with scale, which, yeah. And Hot Toys does make, they're already making the Captain America from Civil War, and they've got Captain America from, what was it? I can't remember the title of the first Captain America, the first something, and then Winter Soldier. Like, for each movie, they have the character, because it's slightly different, the uniforms. And then, of course, from Iron Man 3, like, I have the Iron Man 3 Silver Centurion figure, which makes like this brief cameo at the end when the what was that protocol, the party something protocol, damn, I can't remember, someone's gonna say it, the first Avenger. I knew you would bring that up, David. Thank you. Captain America, the first. I kept thinking it was like the first Winter Soldier or the first superhero. I knew it was the first something. And so, you know what? Brian's bringing up the rowing scene from The Social Network, which is the movie based off of the founding of Facebook, which I bought recently. I have to watch it again. I guess there's a scene there with the tilt shift. Yeah, listen, when tilt shift is used well, it's amazing. Chris, again, Hot Toys is a beast when it comes to figures. Absolutely. One of the figures that I have in my Amazon shopping cart is the original 1987 or 1986 RoboCop. I love RoboCop. Now, the new movie was okay, but the original one, it has a special place in my heart because of how ridiculously violent it was. I mean, they actually, a little tidbit, that actually was originally rated NC-17 because of the violence. And if you watch which I was shocked that the Criterion collection, that series of DVDs that contain a bunch of bonuses and stuff, they actually did a Criterion collection treatment of RoboCop, so you can see all of the crazy violence. Such a great one. The intro for the new Colbert Show uses it in a really cool way. David's saying so I assume you're talking about the tilt shift effect and not a Captain America figure. Although I could see Colbert using Captain America. All right, I think we've got. I think we're good here, unless I see any other comments. I don't want to take too much time. Yes, tilt chip. Thank you, David. And since David's here and has been just awesome just with helping me out over the past, say, 6-8 weeks since I started the show, you definitely want to check out Geeks Life and Geeks University. Both Geeks Life and Geeks University, David and Luria Petrucci have been really kind of pioneering Facebook Live, what you can do with Facebook Live. They're actually the very first daily Facebook Live show. Like I still can't believe Monday through Friday they do a show on Geeks Life at 10 a.m. Pacific, and then David, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's 11:30 p.m. Pacific is the Geeks University show, which is more business related and how you can leverage live streaming and social media to boost your business, improve your social following. So I want to give them a plug. Just type in Facebook, type in Geeks Life and Geeks University, follow them, and then actually to kind of simulate what you should do is, as I sign off, is when you're watching the video, if you want to make sure you don't miss a video, when you're watching, you'll see, yes, I always get this confused still. Right there on the top right of the video is a button that says live notifications. Click that, please, because you'll get notified and it'll turn blue. That way you know that whenever a show goes live, if you don't want to miss it, you'll get a notification on Facebook. And in my opinion, while there is an archive and the recording is made available, the participation here, did I say PM? Sorry, 11:30 a.m. Yeah, 11:30 a.m. It's not midnight. 11:30 a.m. is Geeks University. But the participation that we have here, to me, that's what makes live streaming so amazing. So, yeah, I want to thank all of you for joining me on this really cool kind of episode 13. I hope all of you have a great weekend. Just if you want to follow me, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and YouTube. All of those networks / Brian Matiash. I know how frustrating it could be, like even for my wife Nicole, and especially for people like David Foster, who has not the most unique name to get that. So I do consider myself very lucky that I have kind of brand consistency across all the networks. And yeah, I just want to thank you all for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I'll see you on Monday for episode 14.